Hello, I'm Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to our installment of What's Up Missoula on election candidates for City Council office. With me is Bryan von Lossberg, and he is in contention for Ward 1. Bryan, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed my questions.
I did.
Okay, good. So I'll give you the first one. What inspired you to run for the office, City Council Ward 1?
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, my wife Genevieve and I love Missoula. I'm sure you hear that a lot. We met in grad school here. We're making it our home. We're raising a family here. So we love the place, and it's an opportunity to serve a place that we love. And I think I bring a set of skills and experience from working in the private sector, the public sector, and the nonprofit sector that will be a good match for the job. What really inspired me was I had spent about 2 years working on the city's Conservation and Climate Action Plan, and that was approved in January of this year. I heard Dave Strohmeyer, who is one of the Ward 1 representatives, wasn't running for re-election. I had thought about, city council service, but never really attached a time frame to it. Heard he wasn't running, thought about the work I'd been doing with the city on this, figured this was time, a good time to do it. And I looked around at some of the other issues the city was facing. I'm sure we'll talk about the mountain water ownership issue, and I felt like I could bring a good set of skills and experience to these issues.
Yeah, and then Ward 1 is pretty big now, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, it's got a rattlesnake in it, but also has other areas of town that are very different.
Yeah, it's a very economically diverse ward. Dave Strohmeyer talks about it. He's been at some forums that I've participated in. He does a great job talking about it, and I've learned a lot from him. Have a ways to go. But it encompasses generally the north side, the Rattlesnake, as you mentioned, the heart of downtown up to the banks of the Clark Fork River. And then there's some areas over toward East Missoula around the Canyon Ferry, I think, or Canyon River Golf Course, and another neighborhood that I actually, ironically, or coincidentally used to live in on Easy Street over kind of toward East Missoula. So.
Oh, yeah. I already asked you that question, darn it. Well, so you kind of geographically, we got it.
Yeah.
And then the question was, what do you like about, that ward that you're in now?
Yeah, I mentioned it's a really economically diverse ward, and I really like that. It's also got just a host of things, attributes and assets that are, it's a wonderful place to live and to raise a family. You've got fantastic access to open space, obviously the Rattlesnake, Mount Jumbo, the walking trails, the Rattlesnake Creek coming through there. My wife and I are homeowners over in the north side, right across from the Head Start School. Big fans of Missoula Outdoor Cinema over there.
Oh, sure.
So, the Pease Farm is a tremendous community asset, and the Rattlesnake. I mentioned the cinema and the open space. It's a great place to live and raise a family. And then, you've got the heart of downtown there, and we live, a lot of our social life downtown. So those are the things I really love about Ward 1.
Okay, and what would you want to improve Ward 1 with?
Sure. I think, one of the first things that comes to mind is just safety. And I think I'm particularly focused on this now, being a relatively new father. But you get out knocking doors and walking the neighborhoods and talking to people, and it's not surprising that you hear a lot about, kids on this street and a speed limit on this street. That's come up in our neighborhood. It's come up in the Rattlesnake. There was an attack recently I just read about in the paper in Greeno.
Yep.
So, our streets, our sidewalks, safety for bikers, safety for pedestrians, that's something that I think, city government just always has to be attentive to, and certainly it's on my mind. Strategically, more sort of long-term, I'm really focused on this mountain water ownership issue, and it certainly applies to all of Missoula, but with Rattlesnake Creek, flowing through the Rattlesnake in Ward 1, I think it's of particular concern to Ward 1 residents, and I'm just a real champion of the idea of the city being the long-term owner and steward of our water supply.
Gotcha. Okay, so there we go. Segue. If you were elected to a seat on the city council, what would you like most about the job? And this, I guess, is imagining for non-incumbents. So.
Right. I've had the benefit over time in my career of working at a number of really diverse places. I worked for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory doing spacecraft design and work. I was a mechanical engineer as an undergraduate. I worked in the semiconductor industry in Silicon Valley, and then have led a couple of nonprofit organizations. And through all of those experiences, I've been a part of a project team or a program team where I've gotten to work with, a group of people that have an array of skills and experience, and yet we're all trying to work towards some, common end, whether it's putting a spacecraft on Mars, or it's, building a system for this semiconductor company, or some of the great program work. I'm the executive director at the Alternative Energy Resources Organization currently. And so I see some similarities between those experiences and the city council opportunity in that you've got city council people from, diverse all across the city, and they all bring their own different experiences and skills and really their passions to it. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work with those people toward making, keep making Missoula a better place to live.
Okay. And then now you have to imagine what you wouldn't like about the job.
It's actually really easy.
Okay.
I mean, this is a simple one. Monday night meetings, I'm, as I said, I'm the father of a 18-month-old little girl named Austin Rose, and the thing I can tell you I'm going to like the least is missing putting her to bed at night on Monday nights.
Right. Which some nights you'll be able to do.
Yeah, some nights.
Some nights, no.
Yeah. But, I mean, honestly, that I think is the thing I'm going to like the least. I enjoy talking and working with people, and I've mentioned, those sort of diverse backgrounds and such, and I appreciate that. I think diverse opinions and talking with people who know me know that I'm a pretty gregarious, talkative person, and but I really like listening to folks who've got all kinds of different ideas, and I'm excited about that opportunity.
Okay. And I'd ask this question because people had mentioned to me, when I interviewed in the last election cycle, that they really did learn something by campaigning because they were knocking on all these doors, and they sort of had this idea of what they wanted to bring, but then they found themselves learning, well, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Or, oh, really? You're concerned about that? I mean, were there any instances like that in your campaign?
Yeah, no, it's a great question and a great sort of realization, and definitely something that I've been going through because you go through this process and you answer so many questionnaires, and there's so much sort of focused on, what are your ideas? What would you do? And really, in all honesty, you're vying to be the representative for the citizens of your ward, the residents of your ward, and that's where really the collection of ideas, I think, comes from. And so I've learned a ton in two sort of different areas. One has been and I brought this binder because I carry it with me everywhere now. It's just the things that city government is engaged in and how it operates, years of budgets in here. I really like spreadsheets and numbers, and so I've been trying to get really more acquainted with the budget, and it's a pretty complicated thing to learn about. And then there's so many initiatives that the city has, partnerships, programs. I mean, there's the whole day-to-day municipal services and infrastructure side, but then there's these long-range initiatives, the 10-year plan to end homelessness, the Conservation and Climate Action Plan I mentioned I worked on. So there's a lot to bone up and learn about just there. And then, like you were mentioning, you get out around neighborhoods and you knock doors, and that's where you really learn some great things from people that are, things that are really local to that person's neighborhood and to their life. And again, it kind of, the things I've learned tend to be these, these kind of basic services and infrastructure and safety things. The speed limit on my street, or the sound wall that, they're still waiting to go up, in their
Oh, that's right, for the I-90?
Right, along there. Or, connecting some of the trails, between the upper and lower Rattlesnake, bike routes and such. Those are the
they
things.
just got rucks put in there to help university students get around from lower Rattlesnake.
So yeah, there's been just a never-ending list of those sorts of issues, and I have a lot more to learn. I've been getting out, but I haven't gotten everywhere, and I'm really interested because there isn't a single time I've been out when I haven't learned something a little bit new or about the history of a neighborhood or something. So and people have a tough time with change, and so learning that history is really valuable because things always change, but knowing the history helps kind of ground you a bit in what people's prior knowledge was.
Yeah. Okay, this is your hard one, I think, because it's the broadest. Describe some of Missoula's strengths and weaknesses? I guess the ones that occur to you or strike you as
Yeah,
dramatic.
I mean, the very first thing that comes to mind when I think about Missoula's strengths are the people here, the citizens here. It's an incredibly diverse array of people with a really strong civic, community service ethic. Like I said, my wife and I met in grad school here in the environmental studies program, and we were just blown away by the sense of community among the people we were in school with and the people that we met, in the community. And I had never lived anywhere that even compares to Missoula in that sort of sense. The other sorts of strengths, I mean, the setting, the landscape we live in is just phenomenal, unparalleled. The access, to recreation opportunities, access to wilderness and open space. I'm as I say in some of my campaign literature, a marginal fly fisherman. The opportunity for those sorts of pursuits. And then, back to this entrepreneurial spirit among the people, the businesses, there's a great diversity of businesses here. There's new ones emerging. I'm really excited when I read about companies like Rivertop Renewables and Blue Marble. We've got a very good friend, Hank Green, who's doing phenomenal things with YouTube videos, both for entertainment.
Yeah, Hank used to work at MCAT before he discovered YouTube.
Yep, and we went to grad school together. So, and a part of that is also the university. The university is a big strength of the town and the energy and the people and ideas that it brings. So I'd say, those are the strengths that come to mind.
Yeah. Okay, the difficult part, running that old girl down. What would you imagine the weaknesses of the facilities?
I mean, every place has its weaknesses. The positive, view is to look at them as challenges and opportunities. I mentioned the mountain water issue, and I'm going to keep mentioning it. It's a weakness, I think, that the city's municipal water system is owned by outside, interests outside the community, and I'm really interested and committed to seeing that change. I think we'll be the best long-term steward of our water infrastructure and supply. I'd like to see more affordable air travel. I think most everybody here in Missoula would love to see that, and I know people are, have been working that, and I think will continue to. Jobs, good jobs. There aren't enough of them. It's a tough place to make a living. And just in terms of opportunities, we've lost a lot of good paying jobs out in Frenchtown and at the old Stimson Mill. I'm encouraged by what I see, out in the Bonner area. Would like to see more happen out at the old Smurfitstone site. And I think there's opportunities there. It's not just any old jobs that I think would be great. We could use some light industry, some clean industry with, good jobs that support a strong middle class. And so I think it's a weakness now, but it's an opportunity, going forward. I think those are the ones that sort of jump out at me.
Okay. And then you get your closing thoughts. So that's free form.
Free form.
Like anything you want to say, like you're on the election trail and the trail is coming to an end pretty soon. So I don't know, just stuff you think, well, if they saw me on TV, I'd say this.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I hope the folks in Ward 1 will vote for me when the ballots arrive. They'll be coming up here pretty soon. I'm, very proud to be endorsed by Dave Sternmeyer, the city councilman that's not running for re-election, as well as the other Ward 1 councilman, Jason Weiner, the mayor, Missoula County Democrats, and the Missoula Area Central Labor Council. Appreciate those endorsements. Getting those endorsements was a good educational process in terms of going through the process. And then very, very proud of the Montana Conservation Voters endorsement as well. And I'll be a champion for open space. Have mentioned the Conservation and Climate Action Plan and the water system. Those are things that are near and dear to my heart and ethics. And I'll be a champion for the city and Ward 1 residents. And I hope people will support me in the fall.
All right.
I'll be proud to serve.
Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to come over.
Yeah,
and I would just say this word to the viewers. It may sound like a broken record that this is a mail-in ballot situation. The ballot is to be mailed to you by October 21st. So if you don't see your ballot, get in contact with the Missoula County Election Office and find out what happened to it. Ballots have to be delivered by November 5th to count in this election. Well, thanks so much for watching our special edition of election candidate interviews here on What's Up Missoula. As always, if you know of a group you want to see them on this program, give us a call at MCAT. The number is 542-6228. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching.